Is it really possible to become addicted to coding, making the coding process so enjoyable that you don't ever want to stop? Maybe that could come from having a project you care so much about, or just having coding get into your daily life. Canceling plans, stopping socializing, just to get a few extra hours of coding. It might sound weird for beginners, but this is what I read on a Reddit post from 2 years ago. The post is titled, "Programming Addiction? Does it exist or am I insane?" The post OP says he's been programming as a hobby for about 3 years, and he's recently gotten a job at a restaurant so he could pay rent. However, he had an issue where he couldn't put his projects down during work. It's this massive urge to code, and it takes over his head for hours, impacting his performance at work. People he talked to about it said it sounds like a type of withdrawal. Many of the people in the comments related to what he was saying and agreed that coding ended up taking a lot of their brain capacity and affecting the rest of their life. But to debunk that, we must first understand what an addiction truly is. According to the American Society of Addiction Medicine, an addiction is a treatable chronic medical disease involving complex interactions among brain circuits, genetics, the environment, and an individual's life experiences. People with addiction use substances or engage in behaviors that become compulsive and often continue despite harmful consequences. The key word here is the word harmful, and as the post suggested, his coding thoughts actually affected his performance at work. But we can all agree on the fact that this consequence is really not all that bad. And it can be interpreted as a good thing, as thinking about coding all the time will help him get better at it and end up landing a job. As he said himself, he's attempted to get a job in the field, but it's difficult being 19 and not having a college degree. Euruciform explained the phenomenon pretty well, saying that having strong, constant thoughts about something you're interested in is not a bad thing, even if it's not very common, however. If they're intrusive or they cause some kind of problem for your daily life, then yeah, he would consider therapy. I myself think going to therapy for that would be a bit of a stretch and gives the problem way more credit than it deserves. And if you have to go to therapy for a problem like that, it would be safe to say it can be interpreted as an addiction. While many people disagreed with him and called therapy overkill in that situation, the Great Hero Studios says that coding addiction is 100% a thing and gives reasons to believe that. But before presenting them, if you're enjoying the video and have been watching for this long, consider interacting with the video in some way. It really helps out with the algorithm. Now, back to the comment. In his experience, programming addiction is 100% a thing. More specifically, it's an addiction to puzzles and problem solving. He's been programming for nearly a decade and still gets that rush when his programs work the way he intended. Reading that for now doesn't make it seem like an addiction, but here's what he had to say next. Note that if you get a job in a corporation, the challenge may not always be there. In true addict fashion, you'll likely seek that fix elsewhere. Word of advice is try not to let it interfere with your day job, especially once you land that first corporate programming job. The term getting that fix somewhere else really makes him sound like a meth addict, and personally, I would consider this to be on the gray zone of the addiction graph, making it just on the verge of becoming an addiction, while still not fully being one. Well, let me know what y'all think about this. Can we consider coding addiction to be a possibility? And if we can, do the people referred to in this video classify as coding addicts? Let me know in the comments, as coding addiction is a phenomenon that really intrigues me. And I don't know, coding addiction just sounds like a weird thing, almost like someone addicted to working. You wouldn't quite believe them, even though it actually exists. If you enjoyed this video, you might want to watch the video on how to make coding fun. Click here to watch it.